Hi, my name is Amanda Rudd, and today I'm going to be teaching you a lesson on how to create meaningful and effective writing assignments. So before we begin, I just want to point out some learning goals that I would like you to take with you during this assignment or before this assignment begins. So I want you to think about the difference between good questions and bad questions in your writing prompts. I want you to ask before you give the writing assignment what your goals are and how they connect with your learning objectives. I want you to also think about if the assignment has a purpose. You have to have a purpose behind the assignment and not just give it as busy work to your students. You also need to think about if the assignment is clear and your instructions are clear to your students. And I want you to think about what it takes to make a generation of good writers. Before we begin the actual presentation, I want you to do a quick lesson activity. So be sure to consider the questions and advice given from the previous slide. Now that you've had a moment to come up with some good writing prompts, I'd like to see what you came up with. So it looks like our first student came up with this writing prompt. We want you to write a persuasive paper about school uniforms. The second student asked that you explain the difference between Jane Austen's works and Charlotte Bronte's. And the third student wrote, Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain is a classic American novel. However, it is one of the most frequently banned books in the United States. In a 3 to 4 page essay, argue for or against whether Mark Twain's Huckleberry Finn should be banned in classrooms. Be sure to be specific and support your arguments with supporting evidence. Later on, I'll discuss with you the difference between good and bad writing prompts here, but for now, we'll just go ahead and move forward. So to start, we want to know the difference between good versus bad writing prompts. And this is discussed in Glenn and Goldthwait's writing text that we're using for our course. They discuss the difference between good and writing assignments on page 97 through 98. They write that good writing assignments will have purpose and meaning behind it. It's not just given to your students as busy work. They also should connect with your course objective, and that should be clear. And they should also have the writing prompt should be specific and clear to the writer. On the other hand, bad writing assignments, they would be vague, so they're not going to be very clear. Like we saw with student 1 and student 2 earlier, their writing prompts were a little more vague. And these types of writing assignments can usually be answered with a simple yes or no statement. And we want the student to answer a bit further than that. Another example of bad writing assignments is that they can be too personal or assume too much information from the student. So goals and objectives. Graham, Gillespie, and McEwen, they say that writing should teach skills, strategies, and knowledge. So before you give an assignment, you should think about and discuss the goal and its connection to the course objectives with your students. And you should also ask, what will students gain from this assignment? So you should be more specific, and you should discuss with them before they even do this assignment how it's connecting to your course objective and what goals that you're trying to get out of your students doing this assignment. Secondly, your assignment should have purpose or meaning behind it. If you just give an assignment that's just mundane and doesn't seem to have anything concrete behind it, then the students are not going to be as engaged. You're not going to get very good work. Behizda and Fink, they discuss the importance of making assignments meaningful for students. They write, when students learn because they want to learn the material rather than just to satisfy an external requirement, they learn at a deeper level and are more likely to retain what they learn. So we know that meeting CCSS standards or Common Core state standards are necessary, but teaching writing must integrate all learners and all learning styles on an individual basis. So third, assignments should also be clear. You should avoid using words that seem vague or ambiguous, such as explain or discuss, as these words can lack clarity. If you recall good versus bad writing assignments a couple slides ago, and the examples we saw from students 1, 2, and 3, we noticed that student 3 was very clear in emphasizing exactly what they wanted from the student. They wanted a 3 to 4 page essay. They wanted them to discuss something very specific about Huckleberry Finn and Mark Twain. And the other two were a lot more vague. They wanted to explain something, but you didn't really know what. It just wasn't very clear. The purpose of writing is for students to practice critical thinking skills, as well as creativity. So you should think, how is your assignment doing this work? How is your assignment fostering this skill of critical thinking skills and creativity? Lastly, I want you to think that every teacher is a writing teacher, not just an English language arts teacher or a history teacher, but science and math as well. They're all writing teachers. Almost all of my sources in this presentation indicate how vital teachers must learn how to be better writing teachers in all content areas. When teachers become more knowledgeable about teaching writing, assignments become less about mechanically following the CCSS standards and more about fostering that critical thinking and creativity skills that we talked about. Well-trained teachers greatly impact students, so we have to think that poorly trained teachers also impact students. Therefore, the teaching of writing should be included in teacher preparation programs like this one that we're taking right now. And my concluding remarks, I would just like to remind you what you've learned. So today you've learned the difference between good and bad writing assignments or writing prompts, the goals and what should be discussed with students prior to the assignment and how it connects with your course objective. Assignments should have meaning and purpose behind it, and it shouldn't just be busy work. It should be clearly stated and instructed for the student. They should know exactly what to expect. And lastly, in order to create a generation of better writers, teachers should be well versed in the teaching of writing and their preparation programs. Here are my references, and thank you so much.